guys, today that we are going to study about another protocol called TFTP. So in the previous video, we have studied about something called FTP, and here we have something called TFTP. So as you can see, the TFTP here, it stands for Trivial File Transfer Protocol. So this is the first part of TFTP. So we'll be just discussing about what is TFTP, and we'll be doing a small configuration in the packet tracer. This will be the idea of today's video. So to introduce you with TFTP, let me tell you about TFTP here. So here TFTP, it's a protocol. You can see it's Trivial File Transfer Protocol, or it is used to transfer the files from one computer to another computer. So you can read this here. It is used to transfer the files over the network and between the computers. Now, you might be wondering about FTP. In the previous video, we have studied about FTP, and see, the FTP is used for the same purpose. Of course, the TFTP is also used for the same purpose, but there are differences between FTP as well as TFTP, which we'll be talking about it a little bit later. Now, about TFTP, so it's a layer 7 protocol, and this is where one difference comes. You can see here, this TFTP, it uses UDP, whereas FTP, it uses TCP in the transport layer. And the TFTP, it uses port number 69. And this TFTP works in server-client architecture. So, of course, a lot of things are common. Now that we'll be studying the difference between FTP and the TFTP. As the name says, FTP is File Transfer Protocol and TFTP is Trivial File Transfer Protocol. And here, the FTP of, say, the software of FTP is larger than TFTP. That means, so FTP, of course, it is using TCP at the transport layer. So it uses TCP at the transport layer, and so it is reliable. So it is reliable communication, and so it will take some time. And of course, say it is used to send larger files where it requires the reliability. And that's why that's why we'll go with the FTP. Whereas TFTP, on the other hand, say it is smaller than FTP. It's a smaller version of FTP, you can say. And here it uses UDP at the transport layer. If you use something at the transport layer, if you use the UDP at the transport layer, of course, you might know it is unreliable. That means whatever that you send, say they will not receive back the acknowledgement. Right. Now, so this can be used in case where you want to send small files over the network. And now you can see the port number it uses 69 here. The port number is 69. Now, the complexity of FTP is, of course, it is higher than that of TFTP, right? Because FTP, it is used, or FTP uses TCP at the transport layer, and of course, it requires the connection establishment, etc. Right? We have studied that in the previous class regarding FTP. While the TFTP is a little less complex, or less complex, because we don't have connection establishment and all here. We are directly sending the data. Now, in FTP, we got a lot of commands and a lot of messages here. But in TFTP, we'll only have 5 messages. If at all you got any doubt in the 5 messages, these are the 5 messages here. Let me tell you about these 5 messages. Sorry. Okay. Here, the first message is called RRQ. The RRQ is the read request. If at all, say something is to be read, then they'll use this RRQ. Now, you got something called write request. Some files need to be written to certain computer or to be written to certain devices, then you will use this WRQ. And so, of course, you got the data files, and the data files will be sent as data. So the data will carry the file blocks. While the acknowledgement, right? Of course, now you might be wondering, so UDP being a non-reliable protocol, an unreliable protocol, you might have studied, it does not have acknowledgement. A little later also, I've told it does not have acknowledgement. But here, say, it is acknowledgement in the sense, say, whatever, say, they send it, of course, they will send a little bit of thing here, say, I want some more, or this much I have received it. They'll send it back, and that's the acknowledgement here. Now, say, there's no meaning in correlating that one with the one that you find it in FTP. Because FTP, it's a reliable one, and say, they will retransmit it. That's why we used FTP there. Now, the next one here, the 5th message is called error. And error, of course, you know, it is to tell the sending device if an operation cannot be performed. If at all some error is there, it needs to be reported. So they'll use the error. So these are the 5 messages of TFTP. Now you can see here some more things about the difference between FTP and TFTP. So FTP, need authentication for communication. Now, TFTP does not need the authentication for communication. Now, FTP is generally suited for uploading. So I told you, so it is generally used for uploading larger files. Right now, in this one, TFTP is used for sending the configuration smaller files. Now, FTP is reliable, TFTP is unreliable. FTP uses TCP, TFTP uses UDP. FTP is slower, while TFTP, when compared to FTP, TFTP is faster. So these are difference between FTP and TFTP. Now, so this is the small thing about TFTP. Now let me show it to you. Consider here in a topology, I created a topology here. And in this particular topology, we have a router. And the router has got an IP address. If I'm not wrong, it is 10.0.0.1. So here, let me show it to you. Show IP interface brief. You can see the IP address of the router is 10.0.0.1. And consider we got a TFTP server. And TFTP server, it has got an IP 10.0.0.100. Now, my intention is to send the configuration. Suppose we'll have a lot of configuration. We might have done the OSPF configuration or the AGRP configuration or some other configuration in the routers. And I want to send this particular configuration, which is a small file. It's maybe like 100 KB file or say like 200 KB file or something. Okay. And that file, it's a smaller file which need to be sent over the network to the server, TFTP server. So they'll use the TFTP service. So now let me show it to you. So how to take the backup to the TFTP server. So here we'll go to this particular router, and to use the TFTP service, you will mention copy command, or to copy it from this router to the TFTP server, you will use the command copy command. So then you will mention the command copy from where you need to copy. Suppose you need to copy the running configuration. So say you got some configurations here. So hello is the say the name of the router, and suppose you have done some EAGRP or you have done some OSPF configuration. So all these configurations need to be saved to the TFTP. So for that, you will give the command copy running-config space, then you will need to copy to TFTP server. So you will just type TFTP. Then having mentioned TFTP, you have to mention the IP address of the TFTP server, which is 10.0.0.100. Now, the destination file, which file you want to save. So you can save it with a different file as well. Say by default, you can see hello-config will be the file name. You can save it. Suppose say hello run. Let me just type hello run. Then you can see writing running configuration. And this much has been copied. So writing and this much has been copied. And they have used the TFTP service to copy it to the TFTP server. So when you take a look at in the packet tracer, you have to go to the services. And in the TFTP section, when you take this one, you can see hello run. So this is the running configuration. Now, if at all you want to retrieve it back, suppose I have done some configuration changes. Suppose I'm renaming the router here. Suppose the host name I'm changing it to New York. Now I can make several changes. I can undo the OSPF configuration. I can deconfigure the AGRP configuration. I can do multiple changes here. Now, if at all I want to retrieve it back, again, I can retrieve it from the TFTP server. So I can retrieve it from the TFTP server by using the command copy. It's just the reverse of the previous command. Say the first command we have used is to copy from the running configuration to TFTP. Now that you need to copy from the TFTP to the running-config. So this is the command, copy TFTP space running-config. Now, so what really happens is that whatever the configurations that you are saved in TFTP, that means previously when we have saved it, we had the host name of hello and all. So all these configuration will get copied, and the existing configuration will be like returned with an older configuration. I mean, older means the saved configuration. Let me show it to you. Now, when you give it, you have to mention the IP address of the TFTP, which is 10.0.0.100. Now, the source file name also you have to give. So we have saved this file as hello-run. So this file has to be retrieved back. So to retrieve it back, we will give the source file hello-run. Hello-run. Now the destination file, we need to save it as the running configuration itself. And this much is copied. Right, accessing the file from 10.0.0.100. This file is being accessed, and you can see It is accessed, it is copied, and you can see the older names, right? The older names, hello, and everything can be seen. This is how you will copy the configurations from and to the device. I mean, from the router to the to the TFTP server, and from the TFTP server back to the router. Now, so this is for today. This is all for today. And in the next video, I'll show you how this configuration, the TFTP files, the files can be saved to the real TFTP device, maybe to the real computer. How can you save it? And we'll be talking about how to edit it and all in the real time. Now that we are done in the packet tracer, right? The next video is all about doing it in the real time. So see you in the next video. Thank you.